Hello everyone, I'm back and today we're building a Thai-inspired palace hotel and spa. Now I say inspired like I always do for most of my builds because I always feel a little bit like it's probably not actually that accurate, do you know what I mean? So much inspired. But yeah, I just really wanted to make, I think after the last build when I made like a little part of my last build there was like a little hotel in it. I just wanted to make a bigger hotel which felt more, I don't know, like, because obviously the focus is just on the hotel, just a bit more detail, you know? And I thought, I don't know, just make it like kind of a bit opulent and kind of fancy, but not like really, really fancy, but definitely like a nice place to go. And I just thought it'd be really nice to build one here in the world of Tomarang. And I have to say, I did spend a long time trying to find the best lot for this, because basically, I didn't realise a lot of the lots in this world are really small. I feel like that is a common theme with a lot of the newer worlds. And this is basically the biggest lot, or I think the biggest lot, or like joint biggest lot. But I actually really wanted to build this kind of build in the more kind of rural area. But they were all really small. The lots were really small and I just knew that I wouldn't fit it. Because even now, like this lot is too small for what I wanted to build. What I would have loved was for this build to have a much... Can I say build anymore? I said it like 100 million times, I swear. But yeah, basically I wanted this to have like a bigger front garden, let's call it. And yeah, it just, there wasn't much space for it in the end, but like I said, this was the biggest lot I could find, and in a way this works because obviously we are like building on the grass. I wanted to build on grass, not like sort of built up area, and it's really nice. It's got like obviously the water in the background, there's a lot of like greenery, so that's nice. But obviously when I turn around, that I'm in amongst like the town area, which it's fine. Like I said, I feel like it makes sense in a way because obviously, you know, the kind of town area would have been kind of built after this and around this, because this is supposed to be quite a very old building and wouldn't have necessarily been a hotel, but it is now. And that's just kind of what we're doing. And it's just how it is because that is the limitation of Sims. So yeah, like I said, I feel like it kind of works. And like, I don't like, for example, the main thing that was kind of really bugging me is, well, there's two things. One is that it comes straight off of pavement, like just the side of the road. And two, it has like, and this is mainly when you look at it from the gallery thumbnail, well, or more like, yeah, it's when you look at it from the gallery thumbnail, but also just the kind of like, if you're looking at the front of the lot, it's like you can see some lampposts, which I know is really like a minor thing, but it just doesn't fit with the aesthetic. Like when I was trying to take a thumbnail for this and just like a picture of it front on, it was really hard to get one without just a little bit of lamppost in it, and the lamppost is on the other side of the road, but it just picks up. And mentioning the gallery thumbnail, I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of funny. It is just the roofs basically of the buildings opposite this lot. That's kind of all you can see, and then the kind of dome roof of my build behind it. So yeah, it looks kind of strange. I feel like this is happening a lot lately. Like you can't really choose it, can you? You can't really help it, but I don't know, I wish we could, because some of mine are so strange these days. And like, obviously it doesn't mean anything really, but it's just, it's just annoying. But yeah, and I actually, I was going to say this in my last video, but I totally forgot. Obviously, all my builds that I put up here on YouTube will be on the gallery, but they won't necessarily be on the gallery from, for example, the moment that this video is out. Mainly because I like to sometimes do a bit more playtesting. I do playtest before, like I obviously like finish the build and making the little videos and taking pictures of it and stuff. But sometimes like there's just some more like little details I want to do, or just literally the making of the lot for the gallery, if that makes sense. So often I will put in the caption below that, or the description below, that it will be out on Sunday, for example. So over the weekend, it will be on there. It's like, I know it's a little bit annoying. Sometimes I'll be able to do it, like kind of lifetime. It just kind of depends on the build, but I know that this one is not going to be out till over the weekend. Most likely like Sunday. So yeah, just in case anyone's like goes to it and tries to find it. Yeah, it's not going to be on there just yet. But like I said, I'm just playtesting it just to check a few things. I know there's also some things that I know already don't work and that I'm not going to make work because they're not there for functionality. They're just there for how they look, which I will go into like once we're there, if that makes sense. But yeah, in terms of the actual stuff that you want to play, I will probably still be playtesting it just to like double check stuff. And so yeah, so it'll be out over the weekend, and that's like normal for most of my builds. But yeah. But anyway, so I am not gonna lie, I spent a really long time on the exterior of this build, and like I know I say this every time because I do. It's probably I much prefer it. Like I find my interiors often not that great, and this one is like so. Like I think I really focus on the outside, and then yeah, you're just kind of left with what you've got obviously when you go in. But yeah, I really enjoyed like mixing up some of the roof lines and stuff and using different roof pieces just to create some different shapes, and just so it didn't look so like Simsy, if you know what I mean, like blocky, trying to make it look like different heights of roofs, and it just kind of different shapes. It just, you know, like it just appears less formatted. I don't know how else to say this, but I find obviously Sims is there are limitations obviously on what we can do, and it's nice to try and work around that, and then just obviously however that can be done. So yeah, like I said, I wanted this front area to be much bigger. I do shuffle the lot back. So like from the beginning, you'll notice that it was like right up close. The stairs were much closer to the actual front of the lot, so joining the pavement. But you'll see I've shuffled it back a little bit, but I wanted more space than that. Just to be able to make like a really nice front garden area that would just feel really like, I don't know, just really well maintained, and just, you know, with like loads of water fountains. I just feel like this type of place where you would hear running water. There were lots of beautiful flowers, plants, like really well maintained. And yeah, I just feel like I couldn't like really recreate that how I wanted to, but it's fine, like it works with how we are. And basically, like I said, this is a hotel, and it only actually has 4 rooms. They are pretty big and spacious, and kind of have everything that in my mind a hotel room would have. But like I said, they are so big that you could actually make them, for example, have like their own functioning kitchen, because I did and ah about that, especially because I have actually left this, or I'm going to put this on the gallery as a residential lot, which I know is a little bit strange, but I figured obviously with the new business pack and hobbies pack, we can make hotels, let's say, functional, with obviously the kind of little kiosky thing where they'll pay to be there for so long, The Sims. So we can kind of make a functional hotel now, but obviously that's within the small business kind of option. And so obviously like the small business, it comes with a kind of residential lot. Now there is no residential space on this lot, so at this moment in time your Sims couldn't live here, let's say. But in my mind I was like, you know, it happens, doesn't it, where people who might work at a hotel or kind of own a hotel, they live in a hotel, maybe in one of the rooms, and maybe you could do that and just make the room that you choose to live in have a functional kitchen, and then basically it's got everything you need. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got the space to be able to do that. I just didn't, because that's not what I thought this hotel would have. But there's also no like big dining space. The rooftop basically there's a bar up there and some tables, and it's also set up where you could have a wedding up there, because I definitely felt like this is somewhere where I feel like the option could be there for that too. So that's kind of where I thought that's where Sims would go and eat or dine, you know, for their breakfasts and things. And there's some seating outside as well on the ground floor, out the back, that looks over the water, which again, I felt like they could bring food there too. So that's why there's no kitchen area, although there is no actual like fridge on this lot, for example. There is a bar, so you can get bits of food from there. But yeah, that's kind of what I had in my mind as to how it would work. And like I said, I have also put it set up so that there could be a wedding on the rooftop area. So you could also have this as a wedding venue if you wanted to, because again, I think it would be a really cool space to have a wedding. And then also with the kind of rooms for your guests to stay in and like a honeymoon suite. I don't know, I feel like that would be kind of fun. And then there is a spa in the basement, which is, again, I just felt like this is the type of hotel that would have that, like a pool and like a sauna area, somewhere you can have a massage. And I just thought it was kind of like a nice little addition and just kind of fitted. And I've made it kind of quite ornate down there. So yeah, it's just kind of like, so it could also be a spa, do you know what I mean? You can kind of use this lot as you want, as always. But I just like the idea of it being everything, do you know what I mean? I just think that's really fun. Although I'm still dreaming of making my rooftop pool. It's still something I want to do. I just feel like it's easier. It seems like, I don't know why, like I just have this association of hotels with like a rooftop pool. But in The Sims, it's just a bit weird doing that because you block out a whole story below. And I'm not keen on doing that. Like I guess it would be more of a modern complex. Like this, I like the idea that this has the pool in the basement. Like it just feels really cool, like with the stone and stuff. And you'll notice as well, like I do chop and change stuff a lot, especially the wallpapers on the insides when we get in there, because I initially make it quite light in there and just kind of like painted stone wall, but in the end I do change it to sort of like more blocky brick, because although the outside of this build I don't use sort of like brick because I just think it looks really lovely with the reds and the whites together, I like, obviously, like I've said earlier, like I do think that this build would be very old and that it would have been like the original brick and stuff. So I just felt like we'd carry that on in the inside, even though I know the outside's not, so it might feel a little bit weird. But that's just what we went with. But yeah, like I said, I chop and change a lot of stuff. Like you'll see that at the moment, the back of this lot is basically just flat. Like it's just a block wall, which is just like screaming out for something. And obviously I do add some like detail into that. But yeah, it's just kind of like a go along process because I just keep chopping and changing how I want it, you know? And I do end up putting these little stairs at the back as well, which I was a bit like, because I felt like your Sims might want to walk out and go to that kind of area where you can look out over the water, because it's almost some like not fake, but like some half kind of mud paths that go out there. I don't know if you can see them. I just thought it'd be nice that your Sims might be able to go sit out there, might have a little picnic, I don't know, a little chill. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so you see here, again, I'm enjoying the roof pieces, very much enjoying the roof pieces. And I mean, this kind of like cool little roof design at the back of the building, just to like, zhuzh it up a little bit, you know, just nice. But anyway, I was trying to think what, like, if I have anything to tell you guys. Oh, I guess the main thing for this week is that I am going to a wedding, which is very exciting, and I'm going to be a bridesmaid. And it's really weird. Like to be honest, I've not been to that many weddings in my life. I've been to a few. They've all basically been family weddings. And last year was the first time I kind of started really going to friends' weddings, which I feel like it's just a whole other level of wedding. Like, I think, especially now I'm older and like I said, it's your friend, I feel like, and since actually myself getting married, I feel like I don't know, like I find myself getting so much more emotional at a wedding than I ever did. Because I guess I didn't really appreciate what it meant. Like, obviously you know what it means, but like when you're young, you know, like you don't really appreciate it. Whereas now, like I like have cried basically at every wedding since I've got married myself. And yeah, like I said, it being a friend, obviously you're close to family, but in some ways you could be closer to a friend for a wedding, if that makes sense. Like a wedding you go to and it's for your friend rather than a family member that maybe you don't see that often. So like, yeah, it just makes me feel really emotional, and also being kind of really involved in the wedding as well. So yeah, like the last wedding I went to, I was also a bridesmaid, and then this wedding I'm going to be a bridesmaid, and then the wedding after that, the next wedding that we're going to is actually my sister's wedding, and I'm going to be a bridesmaid at that as well. So it's kind of weird that like basically my most recent experience of weddings, a bridesmaid every time, which is bizarre because I haven't had to pick a dress because I've just been given one. And yeah, it's like someone I'm quite close to is getting married, so it's like much more, I don't know, it's just like a different experience. But yeah, so we're going to weddings. It's going to be lovely. The weather is looking lovely. So it should be a really, really nice day. And yeah, it's just nice to go somewhere different as well. It's quite far. I'm hoping the traffic's not going to be too bad. Got to drive a little way to get there. But yeah, that's going to be nice. And hopefully I won't cry too much. Hopefully I'll be too busy to cry. Too preoccupied. But yeah, so that'll be nice. And then we're going on into the inside now, and I get a little bit obsessed with these curtains, I'm not going to lie. I put these curtains everywhere in the end because I just felt like they made a nice shape, especially in this front area, because although I did like it, I don't know, it just adds a bit of zhuzh to it. And the back of curtains are just like plain, like they're not, I mean, why would I expect them not to be? But they're not like the same on the other side. So I end up putting them round twice. Does that make sense? So that on both sides of the curtain, it looks like curtain. So yeah, you end up with a lot of curtains in this build, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, you'll see at the moment, I am currently sticking to the same wallpaper on the inside as the outside. But like I said, this just changed. It's just so many times. And it's quite a simple layout. You just kind of go into the main foyer area, and then you basically have 2 ground floor rooms, one to the left, one to the right. And then you go upstairs and you have the same. They're basically in the same position on top of each other. Like I said, all the rooms are the same. I think the ones upstairs are just slightly, I want to say narrower, one tile. I can't remember exactly, but otherwise they are basically the same. And yeah, so this is what I was saying about an item that's not functional. I've put 2 bars here to kind of look like, obviously, the reception area of the hotel. I really like the look of them. I just felt like that looks more, that's kind of what I think a reception looks like. They're quite long and they're lower. I didn't want to use like a desk or anything. I just felt like this was quite nice, simple kind of stone bar. But I've also put that kind of floral wall divider, or just divider, I should say, between the 2 bars, and then put the logo of the hotel, on there. But anyway, that kind of, basically that space is just not, they won't use that as a bar. Like, for example, if you try to tend that bar, it won't work. Which, I guess if you really wanted someone to tend that bar, you could just move everything slightly and it would work. But the way that I've done it, it has not. And it's not intended to be a bar. So in my mind, like, it didn't matter that it didn't work. It was more of an aesthetic thing, do you know what I mean? Just to give the idea that that is where the reception area is and that's where you check in. So yeah. And then you'll see that I have faffed so much with the those like water fountains. Like, I just moved them around like 100 times. Like, I don't know why. Like, sometimes when I'm building something, like, it's especially the interiors, like, I just will do something so many times. And like, for example, like, I'm changing this space as well. Like, I didn't want to have an open bit on this ground floor, but now I've decided I do want an open bit on this ground floor, so I end up deleting all those like wall plants. Like I said, like, I just continue to chop and change things as I go through. Now, I am only going to show you one of the hotel rooms because, like I said, they are all the same, which I know might feel a bit like I'm only showing you half the build, but actually we've got a whole rooftop area and a whole basement to do. So the rooms are actually kind of not the main event, let's say. I mean, they kind of are. They're very fun, and I say they're very fun. They're not like, they're just hotel rooms, but because they're so big, it just feels kind of like grand and cool. And I wanted it to be fully built in, like all the storage and stuff. And yeah, just a little bit opulent. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd be expensive to stay here. Not like crazy expensive, but like, it's not, and all of the rooms also just have a double bed, which again, you could easily change because, like I said, it's got a massive space. Like, they have this massive lounge area, like, it's crazy. And then I use these cabinets, which are actually kitchen cabinets, to look like wardrobes, because I always think, this is a hotel room, like, there wouldn't actually be like, I don't know. I used to, whenever I went on holiday or stayed in a hotel or whatever, I would always completely empty my suitcase and hang it up in the wardrobe space. It was just something that I liked to do, and it made me feel like I had arrived and I was staying here for a while. I don't know why, it just felt like the thing to do, and I really love doing it. But since having a child, like I don't have the time to do that, nor do I just see it as like, okay, so I'm going to unload all my luggage and then I'm going to like spend time doing that, and then it's just going to, then I have to spend more time then packing that away, like when we then have to pack away to like leave from the holiday or hotel or whatever. And it's like, I could just save time and just leave it in my suitcase. So like, I don't know how, like, I don't know, tell me, like, who regularly, like, fills their wardrobe. But anyway, so, like, in my mind, yes, there's a wardrobe space, but your Sims aren't going to use wardrobes to change outfits or whatever. They can just use the mirrors. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. That might just be me being really, like, strange. But there's no actual wardrobes in the hotel rooms. Not functional ones. But anyway, so this is the lovely rooftop, which I was talking about, which one side has a lovely like wedding area. And I just think it's nice and simple, small. It'd be like a nice little intimate wedding. So you can always add more chairs if you want to. And then the kind of like little turrets, let's call them, like the little towers I've made basically on the four corners of this building. They kind of like, it's kind of cool in the hotel rooms. They are obviously like the bathrooms. But up here, they kind of have less function, you know, they're less kind of fun. And it's just kind of like a nice, cute little seating area. Nothing fancy, you know. And then this kind of inside area is, I put a nice dance floor, piano, tables. Like this is definitely where they'd eat and stuff. And like I said, I feel like if there wasn't a wedding here, it would just be where people sit for food or whatever at the hotel. And then the other side, we are going to have the bar area with more, like, not tables, but like little love seats, don't they? The little two-seaters with tables just where you can chill. And then I just pop as well a table and chairs in each of the little towers, if you know what I mean. I don't know what to call them. I'm like thinking what the word is for that, and I just cannot remember. But yeah, so it's just, like I said, it's chill. And obviously that bar is fully functional. That's the bar that if you're going to use, is kind of in my mind, that's the one you're going to use as a bar. So yeah, so you'll see there was no living space for if you do want to do it as kind of like a residential small business. But I would say like definitely, like obviously you could live in one of the hotel rooms easily because they're so big. So big. And then down here is our lovely spa and pool area, which I really enjoyed making, but I don't know why. Like obviously there is no other way that we could do this in The Sims, but the kind of like, you know how when you're building in the basement, obviously around it is just like black, and I don't know why, like it just it was annoying me. Like I was just thinking how else we could do it. I guess there is no other way, but it just feels really like not part of the build. Do you know what I mean? It kind of takes you out of it a little bit because you just can't see any other aspect of what's going on around this lot. Like you can't see obviously the rest of the world or anything like that. So I don't know, I was thinking that, cause especially when I was doing my video and stuff, like it just feels a bit like, but I guess how else would we do it? There wouldn't be any other way of doing it. But anyway, so down here we have 2 saunas and we have like the massage tables. I put a couple of those and make them in like their own little like moment. And then we have, is it called like the manicure chair as well? And then I have a little meditation room, which is kind of nice. And then obviously like a changing area for each side, which I really enjoyed making because I kind of make these sunken shower areas, which I feel like is really realistic. I don't know about you, but if I've been to like a pool, they have this like big walk-in shower area, and often it's sunken or it's because it's because obviously there'll be water running in there. They don't want that water to just be running out everywhere. So I don't know, it just kind of felt nice, you know. And the other thing I was umming and ahhing about doing down here was putting windows into where that water is. So obviously you've got the little like water fountain moment outside the rooms up above, if that makes sense. But I didn't know if that was a bit much, like having like glass windows into just like water outside of the like kind of massagey place. But anyway, I didn't do that in the end, but it would have let more light in. I think that's the other thing, is that it just feels very dark down here, even though obviously there's loads of lights and it's not actually dark. It just feels dark. I think because you know you're in the basement, but I just like the idea of this all being in the basement, to be honest. So that's what we did. And the other thing that I really enjoy are these doors that we got. Don't you think these doors are just great? Because I've always had this thing with like glass doors are always obviously completely see-through, but you can do these ones in kind of like a frosted mode, so you can get in the same like colour and frame colour, but then it can be like frosted over, so it's still glass but you can't see through it, which I feel like again is super realistic and definitely something that is in many builds. Like I'm using them in all my builds at the moment. Well, I say all, not really, but I just think they're so versatile. I just think they fit for so many things, especially like in a business, like a small business build, which obviously makes sense because it came with that pack, so of course it would fit. But yeah, I don't know, it just feels like it just felt right. It just kind of works. Do you know what I mean? And then I just use these lockers as somewhere where your Sims can go and change. It's nothing fancy. And then obviously some nice little lounges for your Sims to relax and watch people in the pool. So lovely time. Anyway, I will leave you with some screenshots and see you in the next one. Bye.